I've learned something through the endless years of fighting, bleeding, breaking. Something I once refused to believe, that a king has no friends. Not because he chooses loneliness, but because his path demands it. From the day I was born, I was told that I was destined for greatness, a scion, prince, heir to a bloodline of warriors who bowed to no one. I believed that meant I had to stand above everyone, to never show weakness, to never depend on another soul. I built walls around my pride so high that even I could no longer see over them. I told myself that trust was weakness, that compassion was distraction, that friendship was a luxury for those who hadn't seen what real loss looked like. And yet, even after all that time, standing here now, I realize it wasn't strength that isolated me, it was fear. Fear of being betrayed again. Fear of losing control. Fear of being seen for what I truly was: broken, scarred, searching for purpose in a universe that never cared if I lived or died. But that's what made me what I am. Every scar, every failure, every loss carved the lessons that power alone could never teach. I used to think a king was defined by how many people knelt before him. Now I know. He's defined by how many times he stood alone and refused to fall. There's a kind of peace in solitude, a stillness that only those who've carried their burdens alone can understand. When you strip away the noise, the praise, the competition, what's left is the truth. Who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when the world forgets your name? That's where strength is born, not in the crowd's roar, but in the silence after it fades. You see, people will celebrate you when you rise and vanish when you fall. They'll cheer for the warrior who wins, but they'll never understand the knights that built him. That's why a king walks alone, not out of arrogance, but necessity, because no one else can bear the weight he carries, the responsibility he shoulders, the vision he refuses to abandon, even when it tears him apart. And maybe that's what destiny truly means, to walk a path so steep, so brutal, that no one else dares follow. I've seen it all: betrayal, loss, victory, redemption, and through it all, I've learned that the ones who endure are the ones who stop asking the world to understand them. They simply move forward, step by step, through blood, through pain, through disappointment, until the world has no choice but to respect their silence. That's the burden of a true warrior: to keep fighting when no one believes, to keep believing when no one fights for you. Strength is not born from companionship. It's born from the moments when you have no one to rely on but yourself. I used to envy Kakarot for his heart, for the way he connected with others, for the way he found strength in unity. But now I understand. My path was different. I wasn't meant to be like him. I was meant to understand solitude, to embrace it, to master it, because solitude sharpens you in ways comfort never will. It forces you to face the truth you spend your whole life avoiding. It strips away the lies and leaves you with what you really are. And once you've stood in that darkness long enough, once you've faced the version of yourself you fear most, no enemy can ever truly scare you again. That's what it means to be a king, to lead without needing validation, to love without expecting loyalty, to fight even when you know no one will understand why. There's a certain pain in knowing that few will ever grasp the cost of your strength, but there's power in it too, because the fewer who can walk beside you, the more sacred your journey becomes. You learn to move in silence, to act without praise, to sacrifice without witness. You become something unshakable, not because you never fall, but because you never to stop standing back up. There were times when I thought being alone meant I'd failed, that if no one stood with me, I must have done something wrong. But solitude isn't punishment, it's purification. It burns away the weakness, the dependency, the illusion that anyone else can save you. It reminds all you that in the end all you have is your will. And if your will is strong enough, that's all you'll ever need. You can lose everything: your allies, your pride, your power. But if you don't lose yourself, you've already won. That's the essence of leadership, of strength, of life itself. You cannot command others until you've conquered your own chaos. You cannot guide anyone until you've guided yourself through darkness. That's why I no longer fear standing alone, because I know what it took to stand here. Every tear I never cried, every word I never said, every wound I never showed. They built the armor I wear now. And this armor isn't made of pride, it's made of endurance. You can't fake that. You can't borrow it. You can only earn it. And if you truly want to become powerful, not in body, but in spirit, you must learn to walk alone. You must stop begging for validation. Stop waiting for approval. Stop searching for someone to carry your weight. Because no one will. No one can. This is your path, your fight, your kingdom. And no one will understand it until it's already yours. I've lost comrades, rivals, family, and for the longest time, I blamed the universe for it. But now I see those losses weren't curses, they were lessons. Every time I was left behind, it taught me that real loyalty isn't found in who stays, but in who you become when everyone leaves. I learned that solitude doesn't break you, it shows you where you were already cracked. It forces you to repair yourself from within. And once you do, you never depend on anyone else to keep you standing again. That's freedom, that's power. And yes, it's lonely, but it's honest. I'd rather stand alone in truth than be surrounded by people who only love the mask I wear. You want to be strong? Then stop chasing comfort. Stop surrounding yourself with those who only feed your ego and never challenge your spirit. A true king surrounds himself not with friends, but with warriors, those who can stand beside him without needing to stand beneath him. But until you find them, walk alone, train alone, suffer alone, rise alone, because in that silence, you'll hear your purpose louder than ever. You'll see your path clearer than ever. You'll understand that greatness was never meant to be shared, it was meant to be built. Piece by piece, scar by scar, one lonely night at a time. That's how I found peace, not by escaping solitude, but by mastering it. I learned that the world doesn't owe you understanding, and that true confidence isn't loud, it's silent, steady, and unbreakable. That's what being a king truly means, not sitting on a throne, but having the strength to stand tall even when the throne is gone, to carry the weight without complaint, to bleed with honor, to rise with dignity. You'll be misunderstood, judged, envied, hated, but you'll stand anyway. Because kings don't need sympathy, they need conviction. And I promise you, once you stop fearing the loneliness that comes with leadership, once you stop craving approval from those too weak to follow their own path, you'll find a strength that no power in this universe can touch. You'll become the kind of person who no longer needs to prove himself, because his existence itself is proof. The silence will become your ally. The struggle will become your teacher. The pain will become your crown. That's when you'll understand being alone was never your curse. It was your calling. The universe separated you not to punish you, but to prepare you for a life few could survive, for a strength few could comprehend. So if you find yourself standing alone tonight, surrounded by shadows and doubt, wondering if it's all worth it, remember this. Every warrior who's ever changed the world once stood where you are now, alone, afraid, but unbroken. That's where transformation begins. That's where kings are forged. You don't need to be liked. You don't need to be understood. You need to be relentless. You need to keep standing, even when it feels like no one's watching. Because one day they'll see the fire that never went out, the will that never broke, the king who never bowed. And when that day comes, you won't need their recognition. You'll already know who you are. You'll already be the ruler of your own fate. So carry your solitude with pride. Let it remind you that you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand apart, because that's what real kings do. They rise when others rest. They fight when others flee. They keep moving forward when everyone else has turned back. And if that means walking alone through the darkness, then so be it. Because the strongest light always belongs to those who've endured the longest night. So, remember my words, strength will cost you comfort. Leadership will cost you peace. Greatness will cost you company. But it will give you something far greater legacy, purpose, truth. And when the noise fades, when the battles end, when all the crowds disappear, and you're left with nothing but your reflection, you'll finally see it. The man you've become, the warrior you've forged, the king you were always meant to be. Because in the end, a king has no friends, only those strong enough to stand beside him. And even now, as the wind carries the silence of every battle I've fought, I feel the weight of all I've lost, yet I wouldn't change a single thing. Because through every scar, every lonely night, every broken bone and shattered dream, I've found the truth that no one ever taught me, that peace isn't found in being understood. It's found in knowing yourself so completely that the world can no longer shake you. I used to chase power to prove something. Now I chase it to protect what's real. Not to be feared, but to be free. And freedom. True freedom only belongs to those who can walk through fire without asking for help. So let them call you cold, distant, heartless. They'll never understand the warmth it takes to survive your own darkness. You are not meant to be like the rest. You were meant to stand apart, to burn alone until your fire lights the way for others. That's what it means to be a Saiyan, to be a warrior, to be a king, to rise through solitude, to master your pain, and to carry your crown in silence until destiny bows before you.